Hey, it's Melissa Carter, blogger at You Only Have Your Shelf to Blame because you are what you consume. And I talk about books that are on my bookshelf. This one is pretty special because it was recommended to me by a teenage boy that I don't even know. I used to host a podcast called She Persisted, which is on Apple Podcast. And I have the link below. And during one of the interviews of a woman who was an author, we were talking about the fact that I had I think then 5-year-old son, and her teenage son was home, and said, "Well, mom, said you've got to tell Melissa about this book." So here's a teenage boy who was recommending a book to me that wasn't even his mother's book. She teased about that. She said, "Well, it wasn't even my book. He wanted he wanted you to read," but he was talking to me through his mother in defense of my own son, a teenage boy wanting a young boy to have a chance. And so I got the book, and the book is called Boys Will Be Men by Paul Keivel. It is a book about what kind of man do you want to raise. And and Paul does workshops and has worked with a lot of youth, and in his knowledge, in his experience, he's brought together the issues that boys face that we really need to tap into. And if we want them to be solid community leaders, but more importantly, happy men, joyful men, then we have to address the issues. And the issues are violence, drugs, sex, sports, intimacy, and that's emotional intimacy, because sex and intimacy are two different things. I did an interview with William Shatner years ago as part of my morning radio career. And William Shatner is a very old school guy. Like, he's kind of tough and he's kind of closed and he's smart. But I could tell it had resistance, I think. It was an in-person interview. I'm in Atlanta. He was in Atlanta for Dragon Con. Great convention, by the way. And he came in studio and it was just me and him. And I asked him about Spock. I brought up Kirk and Spock, and he kind of leaned back in the chair like, here we go again, assuming the worst, assuming I was going to go straight into a gay relationship. So I assured him I'm a lesbian. I don't automatically just assume everybody's gay. I don't, you wish some couples were. But I said, no, it's the actually opposite of that. I said, what I love about Kirk and Spock, because I'm such a sci-fi fan, is the fact that they had an intimate relationship. Not a sexual relationship, an intimate relationship. And you don't find many men who have those relationships outright, or at least in public, and certainly not on screen. And then he relaxed and we had a conversation about it, because I find it beautiful when there are two men who are closer than brothers. And you could be gay or straight. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's two men who it's not a sexual relationship. It's an intimate relationship. It is a heart-to-heart, just love. And I feel that's missing so much. And to me, it was the most charming thing about the original series of Star Trek was their friendship. And so that's addressed in here, friendships with other men. My son he's not yet harshly influenced at 6 years old, but there are hints of things. He'll say, he likes to game and he'll watch gaming videos on YouTube, and I only let him watch the guys that know, and women too. There's not as many female gamers on YouTube that are popular, unfortunately, because there's plenty of female gamers, but he only watches the ones that know that kids his age are watching. There are some out there that understand that they have young viewers, and I think they're appropriate to it. But there's still comments every now and again about, I don't know, something about, here we go, boys, and, you do something like a girl or some, you can tell somebody's had a negative influence about women, and I'll stop the video, and I don't fuss, but I'll explain. And I try my best to explain to him that's not okay. And it's based more on inclusion than just, boy versus girl, or, it's more of just explaining, look, everybody's included. Girls play video games and boys play video games. And, everybody should be. So whoever you want to play with or whoever, don't just section out a portion of people and insult them. And so I try to include that in race. I try to include that in gender. And I say, and they shouldn't do it to you either. So it's like it goes both ways. But I'm having to start these conversations at 6. And this was, this is with or without the book. But the book it's just made me understand that these issues need to be talked about in your home, and not in a way to make the boy feel insecure or attacked or having to put a burden upon their shoulders that doesn't need to be there. I do not believe that boys need to be told to man up, to, what other phrases there are out there. And, they talk about sports in here because usually it's on a sports team they hear it the most. I will say that my son on his sports teams in the stands is where I hear other boys say things that I know that they are mimicking what their father said. And it's usually derogatory. And it's hard. It's hard to not just want to just say something to that boy. But we're still in the thick of this. We're still in the thick of, giving these unfair expectations on boys. They can be men. And they can be men who are caring. They can be men who are affectionate. They can be men who are in touch with their own emotions and still be tough and still, do the things that you expect men to do, I guess. But, we got to find a way for them to be happy. It's not just about girl power. I will say this one last thing, that I love girl power. I love the ability for girls to be able to do the things that boys get to do. But we haven't reversed that. We haven't made it okay for boys to do what girls do. We haven't made it okay for boys to take ballet, for boys to paint their nails, for boys to, if they like to do, macrame or to, we haven't told boys it's okay to be feminine. So girl power is still honoring masculinity, but femininity is still attacked. You understand what I'm saying? So I still think we have a long way to go, but I recommend Boys Will Be Men. If you have any other books that you think help in this issue, or if you disagree with it and you think that this is weakening the system, it's worth a conversation, because instead of taking sides and never speaking, we got to find a good middle ground, right? So leave in the comments below, and you only have yourself to blame. Is the website. And I have a newsletter I send out every week you'd like to subscribe to. That'd be great as well. And I can send you these recommendations and links in your inbox every week. So I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.